Cardinals get the win on opening day as they knock off the Minnesota Twins. Final score 5-3. Welcome in to our first edition of the Extra Innings Show here in 2025. We are glad to have you with us. The Extra Innings Show. It is being powered by Graybar. Graybar, your distributor for electrical and datacom needs. My name is Matt Pauley, continuing to come your way from Busch Stadium. Multiple ways to get connected with the program. What are your thoughts on the way the Cardinals played? Certainly a nice development from an offensive standpoint. And, I try to be very consistent in what I say. So if the team starts slowly, I'll sit here and tell you, hey, you know what? It's just the start of the season. It's just one game. It's those sort of things. Well, I'll tell you the same thing even when they play quite well. 5 runs on 10 hits. It's just one game. It's the start of the season. It doesn't mean anything yet. But I think it was good to see. I mean, everybody, there's such a a spotlight on opening day, and in a year where offensively the team didn't look great during spring training, man, it was really nice to see them collect 10 hits. It was really nice to see them grind out at bats and just have a really solid approach. It was good to see them come up with a few hits with runners in scoring position. There were a lot of reasons to be happy with what the Cardinals did today. And I think a lot of reasons to be happy. That's the bottom line. So here's how you get connected with us. You can call or text 314-436-7900. That's 314-436-7900. That's how you call. That's how you text. You can tweet at me if you'd like, at Matt Pauley on air, MattPauley on air. Or if you are listening, or I should say watching us on our video streams, we're available on Facebook. We're available on YouTube. We're available on Twitter, wherever it might be. If you have not followed along with KMOX Sports on YouTube, you are missing out because we've got all kinds of Cardinals-related programming now on the station. Gas House Gang at 12 noon, Redbird Rush Hour at 5 o'clock, and we're going to be bringing this program to you via the video stream after every game this year. So you can watch and you can comment wherever you're watching, and we'll take a look at those comments as well as we go along with the program tonight. Just wanted to get the kind of feel the pulse of how Cardinals fans are feeling right now as the team looks very good today. And again, if nothing else, I think it's just a sigh of relief after we saw a team that, coming off a season last year they weren't very good offensively. And then they follow that up with a spring training where they don't look great offensively. Well, today they looked pretty darn good. Let's grab our first phone call of the program at 314-436-7900. 314-436-7900. Bobby has given us a call. Hey, Bobby, you're on the Extra Innings Show. Mm-hmm. Awesome. Yeah, Bobby, thank you for the phone call. And we look forward to talking to you throughout the year here on the Extra Innings Show. I get what you're saying in terms of Walker and Scott and the approach that they took and what we saw from them. Man, I like the approach from everybody today, up and down the order. I don't remember a bad at bat in this game, and that's pretty rare. Even strikeouts, even situations where a guy did not come through, it was still a really good day. And I think when you to the point that you're making, Bobby, when you've got these young guys who maybe have not yet had a ton of success or a ton of consistent success, certainly have not put together a full season's worth of success at the big league level, when they're in a big moment and they're able to be patient. I think one of the key words we used in spring training this year, and I think it's part of why the offensive numbers were down. And I'm not trying to make excuses or anything like that. And again, we'll see whether if this is a legitimately better offensive club. That's going to present itself in true form very soon. We don't know anything after just one game where they collect 10 hits. But I think if they end up being a good offensive club, which I think there's a good chance of that happening, I'm not convinced of it, but I think it can happen. If they end up being a good offensive club, I think the way we come back and kind of explain the lack of offense in spring training is recognizing the fact that pitch selection was one of the biggest things that Cardinals hitters were working on, meaning what pitches do you swing at and what pitches do you not swing at? And look, there's some strikes. There are strikes there that for some hitters you actually shouldn't swing at because you're just not going to be able to do anything with it. That's not true for every hitter. That's not true for every pitch. But knowing what to swing at and what not to swing at, and accepting the fact that sometimes there's just going to be a pitch that's going to get you, but you find a way to stay disciplined in your approach. So when you do get something good to hit, you're able to do something with it. And that was a big key, I think, for a lot of guys. And Jordan Walker and Victor Scott were a big part of that. So when you see guys taking at bats, when you see guys fighting off pitches, when you see guys laying off stuff that maybe previously they would have swung at, I do think that's the first step in game 1 of 162 towards overall better approach at the plate. And I would contend and I would argue that's something the Cardinals need. That from an approach standpoint, it left a little something to be desired here over the last few years. Paul has given us a call. Hey, Paul, you're on the Extra Innings Show. Do we have? There you go. Love it, Paul. Appreciate it. So a few things to get to there based off what you just said. Yeah, so I thought it was a really good atmosphere today. I thought the fans came out. It was a sellout crowd. There was a lot of talk about whether or not they were actually going to sell this game out. And I think they were always on the pathway to a sellout. And it even, when the rain was coming down a little bit, because I think they still needed a little bit of a walk up today to complete the sellout. I wondered when there was rain in the forecast if it was going to be a sellout or not, but it was. And I thought the fans were great. There was an energy, there was a buzz in the stadium, and that was fantastic to see in this game for sure. Yeah, I'm forgetting some of the stuff that you said, Paul. I should have generally I write things down when people are going through a whole bunch of things. So I apologize with that. But I think you hit on a lot of things that were incredibly true in this game and just what we saw from an approach standpoint, where everybody took a good approach. And how much of that has to do with Brent Brown? If you're going to sit here and sing the praises of Brent Brown over and over and over, as everybody seemingly has, well, then you want to see fruits of the labor. And I do think we saw some of the fruits of that labor today with what we saw from a hitting standpoint. And we haven't even talked about pitching. That Chris Roycroft, you asked about him. That's what I wanted to talk about. All right, so here's my take on Chris Roycroft. I really like Roycroft. I like him a lot. There are some things that he still needs to clean up just a little bit, especially when it comes to when he faces off against lefties. That was an area that he struggled in last year. Well, he got his lefty today, as Oliver Marmol mentioned in his postgame. If Ryan Helsley leaves the Cardinals, I think that Chris Roycroft is maybe a contender to move into that closer's role. There's a bunch of guys on the team that you can talk about in that way, but I'm really high on Chris Roycroft. I think his stuff, his ability to get swing and miss, the really tough look he has, his height, obviously, his extension, everything that goes along with Chris Roycroft, I like. I like that he was put in that. So if you didn't hear the post game comments from Oliver Marmol, Ryan, this is kind of funny to be talking, not funny, haha, but funny. Are you kidding me? To be talking about on opening day, but Ryan Fernandez was not available. He was dealing with a little something today, and he was down. So because Fernandez was down, that changed the way they used the bullpen. So I think Fernandez probably would have been the 8th inning guy today, which would have put Maton in the 7th inning, and maybe they use Roycroft in the 6th, or maybe they do something the way they used Leahy and King. I guess I think Ollie said that that those decisions stretch all the way back to impacting the 6th inning. So Roycroft got put into a bigger situation for sure, and he came through. And we don't even mention JoJo Romero, who obviously is a high leverage guy as well. But I like Roycroft a lot. I definitely like Roycroft a lot, and I'm excited to see what he's going to be able to do here moving forward. Let's go to John, who has given us a call. Hey, John, you are on the Extra Innings Show. Yeah, John, appreciate it. He basically there's no room at the end. Alec Burleson sort of won out the DH spot, and this is all connected to when Victor Scott II won a job, legitimately won a job. What that did was it forced Nootbaar's not going to play much center field, so it forces Nootbaar to left and it forces Donovan to second, and then all of a sudden the only spot you have for Gorman is at DH, and Alec Burleson won that job. And I know it is still a very important thing for the Cardinals that they get Gorman at bats and they get him starts and they give him runway. And you're gonna have to give Nootbaar days off. Health is number one for him. So Nootbaar's going to get days off. Arenado's going to get days off. Donovan's going to get a day off. There's a bunch of Burleson's going to get days off. There's a bunch of guys who are going to get days off, and you can then move. You can play Gorman at second. You can play Gorman at third base. You can play him as the DH. So he's going to get his at bats, but kind of the base standard lineup right now that does not include Nolan Gorman, and that's kind of where he's at. I think he'll get there. Yeah, I think he'll get there this year, and I really appreciate the phone call. I think he'll get there. I just don't completely know what it's going to look like. We were talking about him being a 500 to 600 plate appearance guy this year. I don't know if he gets to that point, but I do think he'll be 400 plus plate appearances this year, and he's going to be in the lineup a lot. Question from Lauren on the video stream said, how did you like having runners in scoring position score and not leaving them on base? I know it's just one game, but I love not leaving players on base in scoring position. Yeah, it's nice to see a respectable number on the bottom of the box score and runners in scoring position. I mean, they didn't kill it, but they had 3 hits. They went 3 for 11. That's fine. That's not great. They were 3 for 10 before they had a late at bat, so they were 300 up until it was either the 8th or 9th. It was the 8th inning when they had the final at bat with runners in scoring position and went to 3 for 11. So 300, a little under 300 with runners in scoring position. That's the number at the end of the year. I think everybody's going to be happy with that. Minnesota, they end up going 1 for 8 with runners in scoring position. So all the way around, I think that was good to see, and hopefully that's something that continues on. Let's grab one more phone call before we get to our first break. Irvin has given us a call. Hey, Irvin, you're on the Extra Innings Show. Yeah, Irvin, appreciate. Awesome. Sounds great. Thank you for the phone call. I like Nootbaar in the leadoff spot. We mentioned the numbers when we were doing the at the end of the network post game. Of all his career home runs, he's hit the most out of the leadoff spot. So that is that's good stuff. That is good stuff all the way around. So I like Nootbaar. I like him in the leadoff spot. I'm glad they've put Nootbaar in the leadoff spot. I like this lineup. I like Contreras in the 2 spot. I like Scott and Wynn there at the bottom. Going Donovan Arenado 3-4. Like everything about this lineup, I like. Herrera, maybe at some point he moves up a spot or two. He's going to be an impact bat, but he's also a guy who catches. So he's not in there every single day. He'll DH sometimes when he's not catching, but not all the time. That takes another bat out of the lineup. So maybe if you want to keep those top 3-4 spots the same more often than not, he doesn't do that. But yeah, that's Nootbaar in the leadoff spot is certainly something that I like. We are going to take a break. When we come back, we'll continue to take your phone calls, take your comments, take your tweets, all that stuff. Plus, we'll hear from Sonny Gray. He spoke in the Cardinals clubhouse a little while ago. That's all coming up in just a moment. Cardinals get the win over the Twins by a 5-3 score. If you want to join us, you can do so by calling or texting 314-436-7900. We're back with more in a moment. It's the Extra Innings Show on KMOX. We are back at it as we continue on after the Cardinals get a 5-3 victory against the Minnesota Twins. The 2025 Cardinals campaign, it is officially underway, and we are glad to be bringing it to you right here on KMOX. Do want to tell you about i3 Broadband. Love i3 Broadband. They are the internet provider in the Pauley household. If you are sick of dealing with outages and just having to spend more money week after month after month after month, i3 Broadband, they are so reliable. Their speeds are incredible, 1 gig, 2 gig, 8 gigs, whatever you might want. You're not knocked out by bad weather. They continue to add more neighborhoods all the time in the St. Louis area. They've got St. Louis folks here based out of both St. Charles County and the Metro East, but they're all over the place. Put your address in and see if they're available at i3broadband.com. That's i3broadband.com, and you can figure out for yourself whether or not i3 Broadband can come really change your internet experience. 314-436-7900, 314-436-7900. That's how you call. That's how you text. You can tweet at me at Matt Pauley on air. Jake has given us a call. Hey, Jake, you're on the Extra Innings Show. Yeah, it was a bad one. It was a really bad overthrow. Good job by Mason Wynn to get right there and kind of, almost catch that. The only thing I would say is he worked really hard in the offseason on his defense. He went to drive line, and during spring training, I saw some of the best throws I've ever seen from Ivan Herrera. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that this guy's turned into a great defensive catcher, a guy who's going to throw out a lot of runners. He's still a work in progress, but I would tell you, I think it's a little bit better than it was last year and will continue to get better. I can admit that looked bad in the moment, but I do think Herrera's done a ton of work to get better in that area. Let's go to Matt, who's given us a call. Hey, Matt, you're on the Extra Innings Show. Yeah, great point by you. And it gets a pretty good pitcher in Lopez. He had just 3 strikeouts through 5 innings. You mentioned the 5 total strikeouts. Again, I think this comes down to approach that these Cardinals hitters had today, and you hope it's sustainable. That's going to be, everything that we talk about here on game number 1. The question is, how sustainable is this going to be? And there's going to be nights where it doesn't look good, but how sustainable will it be from one night to the next, one game to the next? Can they look the way they look tonight with their approach at the plate more often than not? If they can, that means they're going to win more games than not. Sonny Gray had to battle today. His max velo was at 92 miles per hour, so he is continuing to struggle getting his velocity back to where he wants it to be. That being said, this dude mixed today. 77 pitches. He threw 21 sinkers, 16 sweepers, 16 curves, 10 cutters, 9 four-seamers, and 5 changeups. So he used just about every pitch today to really battle through 5 innings when he did not have the velocity that he normally carries. He spoke in the Cardinals clubhouse just a little while ago and talked about how he was feeling about things.
I felt strong. I felt convicted. I felt better. I felt it was nice to be in a big league setting, big league stadium, in front of a full crowd. I don't know. I just felt confident. And I felt settled. So it was nice to get us off to a good start. The offense really gave us some room there early and gave us some life, which was nice. I just felt settled.
Did that start build on itself at all for you? You get out to the early strong start in the first inning, you get through a little bit of traffic, and then successful inning, and you're able to sort of see that success and see the pitches kind of cooperate the way you wanted it to.
I felt very confident and strong going out to start the game. It was a weird day. Obviously, it's opening day, so there's always extra excitement, adrenaline, and everything with that. But then to get the delay like we had it, that was different, weird. You got to be able to adapt. So that was a little, different. But I felt confident. The second inning, I didn't feel as good. But then being able to, my thought in the second was, okay, just continue to attack. I felt like I maybe stopped attacking as much there. So then continued to attack, was able to get a big strikeout with the bases loaded. And I don't remember what the last guy did, but he was able to get out. So then be able to get out of that, pitching through traffic was nice. Gave us a little bit of life, kind of kept the momentum on our side. I was aware after the inning of how I felt, so kind of tried to make the adjustment mentally to go back out there with the same confidence and conviction that I had in the first. Was able to do that. Offense continued to build, which was very nice. Felt very confident and convicted there in the fifth. If I could take one pitch back, obviously it would be the homer. I was convicted in the pitch, maybe didn't execute it. Let's just say that. Was convicted in it, maybe didn't execute exactly what I was trying to do. But then after that, to be able to Donnie to get to that ball and turn the double play was absolutely massive. And there will be times where I definitely will push to go back out, just with kind of the week, kind of where we're at. Opening day, off day, we have a great bullpen. It was kind of, that was kind of the play. It's going to take all 26 of us to win games here. And, I think that's, if you look at like who are the Cardinals, who are the St. Louis Cardinals, I feel like that game is kind of can embody who we are, who we want to be. I mean, there's going to be room for improvement on a personal level for sure. I mean, but it was all in all. I mean, it was a fun day at the field.
Did you feel
That is Sonny Gray speaking to the media just a little while ago. I've done a bad job today of getting to text messages. Let's roll through a few of those before we put a wrap on this edition of the Extra Inning Show. Again, for those of you who are just now finding us, because we are on Glorious FM at 104.1 FM, we do this after every single Cardinals game here on KMOX, an opportunity to talk through everything that happened. I've got a bunch of calls, text. We do the video stream. We are here for you, so make sure to be involved with us on an everyday basis. We've got a tweet coming in from Ball Game. He says, is the negative portion of the audience going to be okay over the next 48 hours? I've heard a lot of good things today. My first tip of the cap and raise of the glass goes to Brent Brown. His pupils handled this day very well. Lots of good at bats. You almost didn't realize how good of an ace the Twins have. Good. Yeah, that's if there's one takeaway I have from this game, my overwhelming narrative that comes out of this, it's the approach that Cardinals hitters took today, and it was so good to see, and I'm very hopeful that continues on moving forward. Text message from 314 says Nolan is back and the Cardinals are in first place by themselves, even if the Cubs win. Yeah, right now, the Cardinals are the only team in the division who even have a victory, and the Cubs are 0-2. What if from 636 says, what a fresh start. I know it's early. Let's just pray and keep it going. Hey, I'm all right with that. You can pray for the Cardinals. Well, they'll take it. I'm a prayer guy. Elsewhere, said, glad to see a winner at my son's first home opener. That is fantastic stuff. Joe from Wichita Falls says, in Texas, after watching today's game, what do you think about the Redbirds improved the most on over the preseason, and what will need to be worked on the most? Well, based off one game, and I'll just repeat what I've said. The approach that they took, batter after batter after batter, relentless at bats, making pitchers work, forcing them to throw a lot of pitches, making sure to be on anything that was hittable. That's the thing that I saw that I think was most improved upon from last year to this year. Over one game. They have to show it. It's not real until we're 2 months into the season, maybe even beyond that. I mean, you got to be minimum 45 games and sometimes 60 games before you really start to realize who a team is. Worked on the most. I'm still a little bit, I'm still curious to see what's going to happen with starting pitching here moving forward. It was really good to see Sonny Gray navigate this lineup even without his best velocity. Andre Palante didn't get his velocity back up to where it's been during spring training. So, and look, the offense is still obviously a question mark. You don't come off a season that they had last season, and then even a spring that they had. One game doesn't fix it. So I guess I cheated on I cheated on the question. I gave you the same answer on each side of it. Text message from 314 says, I'm not a fan of John Mozeliak, but I dislike booing him given the legacy he has over his last 20 years. I clapped for him today as it was his last opening day. I think a lot of people are watching, and I think the Cardinals did a really classy thing in honoring him as he came out for his final opening day. He was hilarious, by the way, in his scrum. I'll get tomorrow on Sports Open Line, I'll play it. So be tuned in tomorrow between 6 o'clock and 8 o'clock. I'll get the audio from John Mozeliak and what he had to say about reaction from the fans when he was talking to us in the dugout today, because Mo was hilarious in what he had to say, and I can't give it its due based off what I'm just saying right now. So I'm telling you tomorrow, Sports Open Line. Actually, we only have 1 hour tomorrow because of the soccer show that was going to be on tonight was moved to tomorrow to 7 o'clock. So 6 to 7 tomorrow. I'll play the audio for you. It is hilarious. When Mo first came out, you heard boos. And when the DeWitts came out, you heard some boos. I thought, when Mo came out, it was right after they'd shown a video chronicling his legacy of his time with the Cardinals. And I just got the sense that, like the texter, a lot of people felt like, okay, this isn't the time or the place to tell Mo how we feel about him. He knows how you feel. He knows how a large percentage, not large percentage, but this vocal percentage of the fan base, he knows how they feel. That was not the moment to do it. And I actually, as I sat there, I thought it was kind of cool that you started hearing boos. And then I thought the rest of the crowd almost answered those boos with an applause, kind of saying, nah, we're not going to do this today. Not going to do this today. These are Cardinals fans. These are Class D baseball fans. This is the time to give him an ovation. And that was my takeaway on what happened with Mozeliak. Text message says, I think most fans would think this. It was good to see that they had the right guys in the right place in the batting order the last 2 or 3 years. That may not have been the case sometimes. Yeah, I'm not a huge batting order guy. Like, it's not something that I get super passionate about. I think you put good players in the order and you let them do their thing. You're going to score runs. But what the things I do care about in a batting order, accomplished with this one. So that's good as well. Last text message from the 618. One game at a time. This game was wonderful, exciting game, full of energy. Hopefully that wasn't knock on wood that I didn't just bring something on there. Full of energy, ENERGY. Yes, absolutely, full of energy. So that's just about going to do it for the show. Do you want to give you what's on tap, or what's on deck, I should say. What's on deck is sponsored by Chesterfield Fence and Deck. The sign you have the very best. ChesterfieldFence.com. Cardinals and Twins play game 2 of this 3-game series coming up on Saturday, a day off tomorrow. Thankfully, we don't have to use it to make up for what at one point kind of looked like might have some rain issues today. It's going to be Eric Fetty on the mound for the Cardinals. Last year was 9-3 with a 3.30 ERA. Joe Ryan is going to go for the Twins. Last year, 7-7 with a 3.60 ERA, 115 first pitch. That means coverage across the Cardinals radio network. Saturday afternoon will begin at 12:20. Thanks to Drew Young back at the station taking care of us. He's had a long day with the rain delay and everything. Thanks to you. We look forward to talking to you throughout the course of this year, as we're going to be doing the extra inning show after every single game. Cardinals get the win by a 5-3 score, and we will talk to you again coming up on Saturday for more Cardinals baseball right here on KMOX.